And good afternoon, racing fans. Welcome to Hawthorne Racecourse for a Sunday afternoon of thoroughbred action. Happy Mother's Day to all the mothers out there. Jim Miller and Emily Gullikson coming to you live on a nice day here today. Temperatures approaching 80 degrees, sunny skies, little breezy, fast track. The breeze is great for the turf. We're finally on the turf too.
Yeah, and it definitely helps when it's a little bit hot too, to just kind of keep it not so hot as far as the sun, still a little bit comfortable, and which it is outside. It's a nice day.
Yeah, it is nice to be on the turf. Beautiful day outside. 3 races carded for the grass course. It's listed as yielding right now. We'll see if we get it upgraded throughout the course of the day. First turf goes as race number 4, so still a couple hours really for that to continue to dry out. It was a little soggy yesterday, but we only had the 1 carded. That one came off. It was still a really good race. Miller Emily yesterday, good day. 3 entrants, 3 winners.
Yeah, and you might have another one today to kind of keep that streak going. I had a good day too, by the way.
You did have a good day yesterday, and it's nice when everything just kind of comes together, runs the way you want, does so at prices too. And
I should say we have a good day, to be honest.
No, but
we combined for quite a bit and then pulled some things out live, which, I mean, is always beneficial too.
Yeah, and it definitely turned out well. As always, if you want any of the analysis or selections, go to the website at www.hawthorneracecourse.com, and you can get all of our analysis there for each and every racing card. All right, we're going to jump into the races here as we have 9 of them today. Not a whole lot of scratches either, which is a beautiful thing. So we kick things off in the opener, 6250 maidens in the first, Emily. They go 1 mile, 70 yards, field of 7 in here. It all starts with the 4 Ice Axe, a horse that probably should win.
Yep.
The question is, will you win? Numbers-wise, this is the best horse on paper. What do you end up doing with Ice Axe in the opener?
Yeah, I think Ice Axe is the horse to beat. I'm not going to argue with the public right now. A little bit short, but I think this is the horse. Maybe try to get creative with some prices underneath, because we can see number 6, and After Midnight is the second choice, who I think is fine, should be the controlling speed, but leaning on Ice Axe of those 2 at the shorter prices. And then getting creative with the price, I'd give My Tennis Shoes another shot back around 2 turns, a horse that both you and I have followed throughout the season.
Yeah, I ended up going on top to Anna After Midnight. Manny Esquivel in to ride. Manny rides at Horseshoe Indianapolis throughout the course of the week after he had a really good Oaklawn Park meet. And then he comes here on the Sundays and rides, and he did this last year and had a whole lot of success, gets a lot of live business. He's a very good rider. Started out here in the Chicago circuit too. So he knows what he's doing aboard a racehorse. We'll see if he can get Anna After Midnight to clear the lead, maybe back things down in the opener and hang around late. All right, race 2 was one of the 2 races on today's card where I had just a terrible time making a line and a terrible time handicapping the race, because any of them I thought could win, any could go favored, any could be the longest price. 25 claimers, non-3. They go 3/4 of a mile. And I know you kind of revolved around 1 horse in this race, really,
yeah,
right?
I was going to say, I might be able to help you out, because I'm all in on My Crazy Neighbor. This is the horse I've been chasing throughout the meet. Just thought those races at non-winners of One Allowance Company might have been a little too tough, but he was still running good races, especially that most recent race. It's just going to show an off-the-board finish, but he made a huge wide move. It was a pretty competitive race, all things considered. I think the timing with a horse that's in form should be able to get the right setup in today's race shape. So where he's made a long shot case for him in those 2 prior races, I think he's a major contender in here. And I saw some early money in the doubles on this one as well, so that kind of gives me a little bit of confidence.
And that'll be the thing to keep an eye on, just kind of who gets to play in these multi-race wagers. Larry the Poet can show speed, Phillipsburg can show speed, Strange Range can all show some speed. So I went to a horse that I thought could come from a little bit out of it too. I went to the 5 table money in here. Lexus Centeno aboard for trainer John Herron. This is a horse that raced at Oaklawn Park throughout the course of the winter, grabbed a victory 3 starts back. I think this is a little bit easier than what they saw in those last 2, even being an Arkansas bred. Arkansas breds have gotten a little bit better over the course of recent years. Because there's gobs of money being tossed at them there. So every time you run an Arkansas bred made an allowance race, it's like you're running a stake down at Oaklawn. So table money, finding things a little bit easier here today. And I think this is a horse that could get a good trip, hopefully get the job done there in race number 2. Third race on the card, $50,000 optional claiming allowance runners in this spot. It's a field of 6 to line up. Like you mentioned, Larry Ravelli could have another winner here today. He's got Kaylee's Sister in the spot. The horse I laid is the 5-2 favorite. Is that who you decided to start out with?
I went with 2 horses in here, with Kaylee's Sister being one of them. Coming off a win, but is on a progressive pattern. Hasn't quite run back to a top since prior to that long layoff and prior to entering the Ravelli barn, so could still have another move forward, and I think it's a sign of confidence. They wheel back on short rest with a horse that's in form. Kaylee's Sister has that early speed on the inside, has some back class, So I think she could be tough. But the other one I'm going to back up with is Off Ramp in here. Off Ramp, if they are a little bit contested early on, Off Ramp can swoop, and is another one that's in good form, fits this condition.
Yeah, Off Ramp's the one I did land on in this spot. I thought this was a competitive race. Armando Hernandez has 2 in here, which is interesting because Bally Dreaming can show speed. Cotton Candy Annie probably comes from a little bit out of it. I wonder if Kaylee's sister is going to have company, but then again, you look at her last race, she didn't make the lead in there. She didn't need the top in that spot and still was able to draw clear late. Orlando Mojica gets the call there. But for me, there's going to be Off Ramp, just searching for just a little bit more of a price there in race number 3. Race 4 today, I'm going to head down to the turf course for our first turf race of the meet. Going over yielding turf course, 7.5 furlongs in here. You get a field of 11 to line up in race number 4. This is a pretty tough race too. You do have some horses that have run a little bit more than others on the grass, and I think that helps some of these in here. Leipzig being one of those from the barn of Hugo Rodriguez, and this is a horse that was facing a little bit better company, I figured, down at Gulfstream Park, comes over here today, maybe finds it just a little bit easier.
Yeah, and going to use that class edge to offset the 302-day layoff, and just could be what they need, and probably well intended for a barn that can send out live runners, has been sending out live runners all meet, can overcome that layoff. I went that direction as well. Same thing with Golden Storm, number 1, from a class standpoint. Running back on the turf, claimed for $7,500 back in March at Turfway, and was given the allowance last month as a transition to the circuit, keeping her in condition. Trip-wise, I think that'll be key in this race, but kind of lean on those two. And the Alexander Song is probably one that's going to worth a mention in this race just from a pace standpoint.
Yeah, I'm curious to see just kind of how the course plays with having a little bit of give. But you're right, the pace scenario in here definitely is key because there's not a ton of pace in the race. Maybe a horse like Glitter Bomb goes out there and shows speed and kind of changes things up a little bit for everybody. I'm going to need that for Golden Storm to get home in time because this is a horse that needs pace to chase. I went to the inside here. You'll get a ground-saving trip, at least around to the top of the stretch, and then with the rail all the way in, there's really a lot of room to kind of make your move here when we're all the way inside of lane 1. So Golden Storm hopefully gets the right trip, runs on late, but I think there'll be a relatively short price in that spot. That was the one thing I was concerned about there.
Yeah, possibly. And to counter that short price, I do want to mention one more horse at a price in there is number 5, Jocelyn. This is coming off a maiden win, so does have to step up, but I think everything about this horse from a visual standpoint suggests turf, has been on the turf in the past, so keep that one on the radar.
All right, race number 5 today, starter optional claiming company here in the 5th. We go 1 mile and 70 yards. It's a field of 8. This is an intriguing race because you have the race that was won by Terry Young against Similar kind of in that last out. That was the $8,500 claimer with Gita's Lad. He claimed Double Thunder out of that race too. They're both in this spot. I actually like Double Thunder a little bit more in this race today of the two. I just think it sets up a little bit better.
Yeah, I totally agree. In terms of those two, I mean, the barn has been obviously sending out live, but I would give the edge of Double Thunder. At a price, I'm going to throw in First Mazamoon, number 7. Big number on the morning line. Long shot, by far not the most likely winner in this race, but has some buried form coming back from their most recent start where they were taking kickback, showed a move, did have some race flow in their favor, but one at a price I'm willing to give some forgiveness on that one, getting in the mix.
15 of 26 on the board here at Hawthorne for that horse. So First Mazamoon definitely sitting in a decent spot. And the horse likes the mile 70 distance too. 10 of 14 on the board at the distance. It didn't run poorly by any means in that last out. It's a good second place effort and nearly 40 to 1. Double Thunder, I agree. I think they get a good track and trip in here. Gita's Lad's going to go. I'm curious to see if Hunter's Ghost on the stretch and distance tries to go as well. But if Gita's Lad gets loose, it's a horse that gets very brave when he's loose and lonely on the front end. I just don't know if he's going to get loose there in the 5th or not. Could, though, be a Terry Young, a 1-2 the whole way around. So.
Yeah, and it's one we'll go back through and talk about because there's so many horses in there you can make a case for, and it might just come down to the board.
Exactly, and we'll see how things do play out there for race number 5. In the 6th, $5,000 claimers, they go 3/4 of a mile in the spot. It's a field of 9 to line up, and we talked about how D. Archer scratched out of the finale yesterday for this spot. I think that was a good move. I think this is a well-placed spot today. You get Manny Esquivel in the saddle, and I think the Archer is who you have to kind of start out with and then work from there. Yeah,
and I think Esquivel getting aboard was kind of a big tell for me.
Sure.
You mentioned he's coming off an awesome Oaklawn Park meet, a lot of live mounts for a Contreras, but also just getting the right trip with horses that were double-digit odds. I think this one looks very live coming off the layoff with that rider assignment. And his plot position, looking at the plot, is probably a little bit strong than Risky Boy or Breaking News, two horses that are likely going to take money in here. And then another price to throw in is Perfect Wager. He's going to wheel right back, one day less than his age for this 9-year-old in here, but he's got form around one turn. Should appreciate that change.
And this is a barn that won a race yesterday and benefited you for sure, because that was a great selection yesterday for Trainer Joel Zawitz. But Perfect Wager will be a price. Breaking news we know is going to take action. This horse has been the favorite each of the last couple, a heavy favorite in victory in that last out. And you're right, Risky Boy, even despite being overlooked, won on opening day of 14-1, finished second in that last out at 7-1. And that last out was behind a pretty good one in Time Heist too.
Yeah, so and he just keeps running and keeps getting overlooked because he's, he never looks like he's the most likely winner.
Right.
And so he gets dismissed on the board, but then you're like, well, there he is. He's running for second. He's running for third. He's pulling off the upset.
He tries hard.
Yeah.
He definitely, he does try hard each and every start out. Race 7, the 13-5 claimers, they go 1 mile on the yielding turf. You get a field of 12 in this spot here as you take out, 11. Economic Hangover is out, Hot Dame and Tapper and are out. So looking up and down the field now, Command Point probably is who you have to start out with in this spot. The horse has been pretty good on the turf, pretty good for trainer Chris Block. It's interesting because you look and you see, oh, well, April's Gem beat this horse the last couple times, but April's Gem has not kind of had the same form since those races, and this is going to be Command Point's first start back.
Yeah, if Command Point is a short price in here, I will shift over to April's Gem easily. I mean, Command Point, certainly capable, is going to come off the layoff, does also have to come from off the pace. There should be some pace in here, but April's Gem can get the jump. They've been looking for that return to turf. I think she's sitting on a peak effort in here, has had some distance limitations in the past, so the flat mile, they're going to have to definitely put themselves in position to get first run on Command Point. And the same thing with Summer Day.
Yep.
Summer Day is another one that has races that fit right on par. It's had some distance limitations, so when you look at some of those longer distance races coming up short, that's been a major player in there. But Mojica aboard, I think that's a positive. So I'd lean on those two. Try to get a little bit creative for a price, and also leaving number 9, Sense of Self, in the mix if that one gets overlooked. Just try to take on Command Point coming off the layoff, recognizing the logical type. I'm
going to try to do the same. I went to Leah Rowe on top here. This one from the barn of Mike Campbell, a horse that's been good on the turf, been good at the distance. A little bit of tactical speed, which you're going to need to get into the mix because there's really nobody committed to the front end. I think it was going to be kind of a bunched up field there going into the first turn. Comes a little bit of a rider's race, but Julio Felix and Mike Campbell have had success this meet, being in the Illinois Derby, so we'll see what they do here in race number 7. Race 8 today, allowance runners here. They go 3/4 of a mile. I thought this was a good bunch too. Chris Block has 2 in here between Moonlight Road and Good Apple. Good Apple's going to face Open Company here today, so that's the reason I think you get a little bit better price. But Moonlight Road was a horse that last out ran a really nice race, ran down Ravenstown in that spot, and now gets to go a 16th of a mile further. So see what we get out of that horse, but I thought it was a very competitive race.
Yeah, and I actually went outside those two. And not because I don't think they can win. They certainly can. Good Apple, for the reason that you mentioned, is going to take on Open Company. Ran some really good races back to back, but this is just a different test. And Moonlight Road, beat Ravenstown last out. No knocks on that effort. An improving type. I think this is the right spot. David Cohen riding absolutely lights out. That scares me probably more than anything, but coming off, those kind of flow aided in that Ravenstown race, and those are all reasons that at a short price, when horses are coming off perfect trips, that you can try to go outside of them. The horse I gave a look to in here is number 7, Boone's Path. These are live connections coming off the layoff. It could just be overlooked with those other 2 that we mentioned. And then Eli's Promise is always dangerous. He recorded some of the higher figures in this field in terms of form. Perhaps there's not much of an excuse on March 31st, but maybe just the time off, that being the reason. So
yeah, I gave that one another shot as well too. I did end up with Moonlight Road on top. Valiant West has run some pretty good races at the level too. I think that horse could be a decent price there in race number 8. In the finale here, we do have a couple of big scratches. Take out the 3 Aqua and take out the 8 Bolt Oro. Both also draw in. I think the key one there is probably going to be the 13 Cross Anna, as that one picks up Manny Esquivel, Carlos Ulloa on the 14. But looking up and down the field for the 9th, I think you have the potential to possibly find some prices. I know you looked through a little bit of a price too with the inside and gave a little bit of consideration to Off the Lamb.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll go quick because we got, I'm sure we got horses down there, but definitely going to upgrade the also eligible runner Off the Lamb. I gave our follows since the debut at Oaklawn Park. Just think one that needed some racing, needed some conditioning, haven't seen the best of yet. And then number 2, Diamond's Joy as well, earned a solid figure on debut to suggest that she fits on this level and circuit.
Yeah, I like Louis Roussel runners on the turf. I went to Absolute Miracle in the spotter. I originally had Bolt Oro on top, but Bolt Oro I know likes to go really long.
Yeah.
But at the mile, we just had to see kind of how things would unfold for that one today. But Absolute Miracle and stretch and distance working really well coming into this race. I think this is a horse that could have a shot at a little bit of a price in the finale. All right, that's how Emily and I see the 9 races here today. Again, sunny skies, fast track, yielding turf course today as we're on the turf for 3 races on the card. But let's flip back to the openers. In the first, we go 1 mile and 70 yards, 62.50 maiden claimers. It's a field of 7 to line up in race number 1, and you're looking at a 4-5 favorite right now in the 4. Isaacs, and Isaacs is who we definitely have to start out with in this race.
Yeah, Isaacs has run some of the faster races. He's run competitive races at a higher level even in those maiden special weight races. Running competitive, he's just running against maybe a little bit tougher, not quite getting the right trip on the day. Should have no excuses in here. He has enough tactile speed to keep in after midnight honest, one that's projected to be a pace setter. And again, those faster races, Manny sending out live runners as of late. He's getting a little bit warm, but don't let that concern you because that's pretty common for this horse. Yeah. He often does, even if he gets a little bit warmer going towards post time. I think Isaacs is the right favorite in this race.
Yeah, and it's something to keep an eye on as horses walk over. We have hoses set up on the walk over from the backside too, so there are going to be some horsemen that'll hose down their horses before and after races, so we'll try to look for those signs of horses that are getting a little bit overheated. But like you mentioned, it's kind of the norm for Isaacs. Abel Escano gets the return ride. He's ridden this horse very well in the past. They just haven't been able to grab the victory, but this is the horse to beat here at 3-5 in the opener. The 6 horse, Anna After Midnight, is the one I went to in this spot. 5-2 on the board. Manny Escobar aboard for trainer Brittany Vandenberg as you get a look right there at Anna After Midnight. Has the speed, probably the pace of the racer, Emily, but I think the key for Anna After Midnight is going to be 1, needing to back it down, and 2, just need to show a little bit more stamina on that second time around 2 turns.
Yeah, and maybe just needed that race around 2 turns last out because going back to April 20th, ran off on the lead. Yep. And then that was it. Just kind of went too far too fast and backed down late. But now has the experience around 2 turns. There's no horse in this field that can run with them early on, and is a filly stepping up against this group, so that is worth noting. Getting a little bit light, and Escobar, as you mentioned, so that could be a positive as well. Could be the horse to catch.
Yeah, it is, like you said, it is the filly against the boys. And it's one of those where I tend to wonder sometimes when they're all bunched up if it has a little bit more of an impact. But if you're running ahead of all of them, you don't know if they're boys, girls, whatever chasing you. It really doesn't
number-wise, she fits right in, but it is always just worth a mention that you have a 3-year-old filly versus older males.
Yeah, and she looks pretty good in the paddock, so definitely worth a look in here. The 2 is My Tennis Shoes. My Tennis Shoes right now currently sitting at 10-1 on the board. This one from the barn of trainer Elias Lopez. You get a look at that one right there in the saddling stall. Frank Reyes had a couple of winners on yesterday's card. This one went to 2 turns in that last out as well. Kind of just ran evenly, I would say. Maybe has a chance to improve a little bit off that start.
Yeah, and going even back to the fairgrounds race around 2 turns, those were sneaky good, just given the level of competition at the time. A couple of those maiden special weight races not quite on the level, and then back at FanDuel, and then there's 2 tougher races at fairgrounds. And as far as the race on April 21st, broke slow, then made a move. The winner of the race, Sharpen Your Faith, was a lone winner, so they just kind of had their work cut out for them on the front end. But definitely can improve and step up in this spot. And as you mentioned, I'm glad you did, Frank Reyes rode great yesterday.
Yeah, he did. He rode very well yesterday. And I saw you had a little note on Laureate in here. This is a horse from the barn of Manny Perez. Carlos Ulloa gets the call today, the 3 horse, 22-1. They're getting saddled down at the end of the paddock here. What did you make of the 3 horse Laureate?
Well, Laureate, going back to last year when they made their debut, just noted this horse is very green and actually took a lot of money first out, and then we didn't see the horse come back almost a year, 275 days on April 13th, made a positive physical appearance, raced wide, was in hand throughout, and then wheeled right back in 2 weeks for the April 27th race, broke slow from the rail. The stablemate was more fancied, finished place, those top 2 were together and cleared the rest. And Laureate's just a horse that, as we've seen with many of the Manny Perez runners, they just kind of race themselves into shape, and then all of a sudden they pop. They pop with that big race. So this is another one that's just kind of like getting themselves into condition. Probably haven't seen the best of them yet. Now they are going to have to step up. I think Isaacs is clearly of the 2 Perez runners, the one that's well meant, but this one can definitely take a step forward.
You know what though? There's no world beaters in this spot. I mean,
Correct.
They're making 62.50, so a whole lot can happen. The horse looks okay in the paddock too. It sits at 22-1.
Definitely a 2-turn looking type.
Right, exactly. So we'll see how things unfold. We'll see how the track plays. Again, we're on the turf course today, listed as yielding for races 4, 7, and 9, but we're getting ready to give riders a leg up here for race number 1. Good luck.
Coming on the track for the Sunday opener, they'll go 1.70 miles on a fast track. Field of 7, no jockey changes. 6 and after midnight will carry 5 pounds over the program weight. Win, play, show, exacta, trifecta, superfecta. This race starts the rolling daily doubles, rolling pick 3s, the 50-cent pick 5, and the place pick 8. 6 minutes till post. I remind you the dirt track is fast. Turf is listed as yielding. Here's the field 1, Ray's Richie's Ransom, Israel Hernandez riding. 2 My Tennis Shoes will be handled by Frank Reyes. 3 is Laureate with Carlos Hulot in the saddle. 4 is Ice Axe Abeliscano. 5 is Gray Mike, Uriel Lopez up. 6 and after midnight, Emmanuel Esquivel. And number 7, Cherry Orchard, Rashawn Blanche will bring him to the gate, and they'll all be there in about 5 minutes. Kick off the Sunday program. Once again, this race starts the rolling doubles, rolling pick 3s, the 50-cent pick 5, and the place pick 8. We do have a note looking ahead to the 4th race. Number 5, Jocelyn will now carry 2 pounds over the program weight. That's today's 4th race. 5, Jocelyn will now carry 2 pounds over the program weight. Thank you. Racing fans, we are close to starting time for the first race here at Hawthorne. Once again, we say happy Mother's Day to all the mothers in attendance here at the track, off-track facilities, comfort of your own home. We have 9 races today. We're back on the turf. Dirt track is fast, turf is yielding. We have 2 carryover pools. The pick 6, which starts on the 4th race today, carryover $120. 9th race, high 5 carryover $569. Dirt track will be fast all day long. Turf is currently listed as yielding. 3 turf races today. Warm temperatures in the Chicagoland area. This will be the final call for your first race selections, including rolling doubles, rolling pick 3s, the pick 5, and the place pick 8. We are close to starting time for race 1 at Hawthorne. Moving towards the gate, less than a minute for the first at Hawthorne. Racing fans are at the starting gate for today's first race here at Hawthorne, first of 9 on the Sunday program. Horses are entering the starting gate at Hawthorne. Two more left to go in, waiting for Ice Axe and Cherry Orchard. Waiting now for Cherry Orchard. He's in, they're on the gate. They're off. Breaking outward there was Ray's Richie's Ransom. That caused problems for My Tennis Shoes, Laureate, and Ice Axe. But after midnight had a perfect start, and that one opens up a quick 5, 6, 7 length lead as they went into the first turn. And around the turn and on to the backstretch, and after midnight has the lead by about 7. Inside, Ray's Richie's Ransom second. Cherry Orchard is third. To the outside, My Tennis Shoes fourth. Ice Axe is fifth. Gray Mike sixth in a distant trailer. Laureate, they're strung out. 22 lanes covers first to last with 5 furlongs to go. And after midnight leads by 4.5 lengths. In second position, that's Ray's Richie's Ransom. And then up along the inside, here's Ice Axe into third. And then on the outside, My Tennis Shoes fourth. Cherry Orchard is back to fifth. A long gap to Gray Mike and Laureate. They move around the turn, and they're still chasing Anna after midnight. And around the turn they go, and after midnight has the lead by 5. Ice Axe now picks up to chase second. Here's My Tennis Shoes ranging up third. Ray's Richie's Ransom drops back fourth. Gaining in the back of the pack is Gray Mike. Around the turn, they're in the stretch, and after midnight comes off the turn with a 3-length advantage. Ice X now coming to her on the outside second. Far back third, My Tennis Shoes, a little more than a furlong to go, and Ice X moves up to engage, and after midnight, a 16th to go. Ice X now has the lead, and after midnight battling on gamely, but will have to settle for second. Ice X starting to draw clear. Ice X won by about 2.5 in the end. And after midnight second, far back to My Tennis Shoes, Laureate came on to be fourth. In today's first race, number 4, Ice X finished first. 6 and after midnight was second. Number 2, My Tennis Shoes third. 3, Laureate fourth. 4, 6, 2, 3 is posted. It's unofficial. 1:44.31 the running time. Returning the unofficial winner for Ice X. Ice X is owned by Glockenberg Limited Liability Corporation of Vladimir Kasakov. Manny Perez trains. Abel Liscano is the winning rider. Still unofficial. The lovely and talented Mena Perez in the winner's circle. Today's first race is official. Running time 1:44.31. Prices in a moment. Let me tell you about a claim we had. For Ice X was claimed. In the first race, number 4, Ice X was claimed. Herberto Villalobos, new owner. Pat Clay, new trainer, claims number 4, Ice X on a 2-way shake. The exacta 4-6, $3.50. That's the dollar payoff. The 50-cent trifecta 4-6-2, $3 even. The 20-cent superfecta 4-6-2-3 pays $24.78. Today's second race has Win Play Show exacta trifecta superfecta. Starts another daily double, another pick 3, and today's 50-cent early pick 4. No jockey changes, scratch or avoids, no changes in race 2. Today's third race has no changes. Fourth race, 1 Golden Storm carries 3 pounds over.